So this fan fiction is called Hard Labor. Right?
Oh no. Uh-oh.
It was a bright and sunny New Eridu day. The birds were chirping, the streets were alive with pedestrians, and people who were too poor to move away from the hollows were continuing to get super cancer. Everyone's favorite accountant was doing some slightly more hands-on work today, lifting some heavy girders on a job site, as one of Bellabug's regular employees had called in sick. Ben had his shirt off, as today was too hot for someone covered totally in fur to handle while working this hard. His usually covered muscles rippled under his soft layer of protective ursine fat, yet he handled his task with ease, carrying 4 or 5 girders on each shoulder without so much as a second thought. Upon seeing Ben's display of strength, Anton jumped into the mix, trying to outdo Ben by carrying 8 girders on each shoulder, straining hard as he pushed his muscles to the max. "Come on, bro, let's kick it up a notch." Ben shook his head and admonished,
Anton, you're gonna hurt yourself if you don't take it a little easier.
Anton replied with a gleam in his eye. "No pain, no gain, right, bro?" His drill responded with a whirring noise. Just then, von Lykon appeared on the sidewalk and quietly stalked up to Ben through the construction site, his wolf instincts always keeping his movements quiet. His shiny black shoes became more and more matte as he strode through the dust. Lykon went unnoticed as Ben tried to remove some of Anton's girders, as the fiery young man tried to resist. Lykon cleared his throat politely and started, Master Bigger, I hate to interrupt, but I have need of your expertise." Ben turned around, slightly startled.
Oh, hello there, Mr. Lykon. Please, like I told you before, you can just call me Ben. Let me set these girders down and I'll be right with you.
Anton chimed in. "Ben, you go ahead. I can handle this. Just give me your girders." Ben responded worriedly,
Anton, you're already about to collapse. You can't handle any more girders.
Anton, whose head was so red and sweaty that it looked like a tomato dipped in water, responded, "Nonsense, I can handle it. Just throw 'em on, I promise I'll be fine." Ben muttered uncertainly,
Well, okay, if you insist.
Ben tossed the girders onto Anton's stack, causing Anton's eyes to bulge and his knees to creak as he tried to hold the massive weight. As the 2 Bellabug employees finished their shenanigans, von Lykon started to look agitated, the fur on his cheeks turning a slight pink color. His keen lupine sense of smell enhanced all odors around him, but in particular, the scent of Ben's fresh sweat mixed with his natural bear musk was consuming all of his attention.
Never mind. Continue.
Not to mention, he'd never seen Ben without a shirt, which was a whole other sort of distraction. Ever the professional, Lykon tried to ignore this and asked Ben, "I don't mean to tell you how to do your job, as I know you two are professionals I can trust, but it seems Master Ivanov could use some help. I can wait while you two finish this task." Ben shrugged sheepishly, which was strange because he was a bear, not a sheep, and said,
I know it seems crazy, but if Anton says he'll manage to do a physical task, he'll do it. I've seen him do tons of stuff I would have thought was impossible. Look, he's even managed a few steps already.
Anton, who had moved 3 steps away so far, was shaking as he slowly shuffled a foot forward. Lykon stared at him, not sure what to make of the scene. I see. Well, in that case, you can take some time to clean off, and then we can head to my office where I can explain the situation. Ben bent down slightly and waved his hands in front of his face in a deferential gesture.
No, it's all right. You said you need my help, and I don't want to take any more of your time up. Besides, I'll have to come back and work some more later. We're behind on this job, and it's all hands on deck. Ben grabbed his shirt and flipped it on in a billowing motion, which wafted more of his scent towards Lykon, who unconsciously closed his eyes and drank it in. "Oh my," he accidentally uttered aloud. As Ben was finishing buttoning up his shirt, he asked, Did you say something?
Lycon's eyes snapped open and he looked away, his snout burning with embarrassment. No, it was nothing. My apologies. Ben shrugged and clapped the wolf on the back with a strong yet gentle paw.
All right then, let's get going.
The two Thyrans climbed into the back of the town car Von Lykon had arrived in, though the car now felt much less spacious than it had on the way over. They sat in silence on the way over, Ben staring out the window as he scoped out the areas where Belobog could potentially do more construction in the future. Lykon tried not to think about the fact that Ben's meaty, plush thigh was rubbing against his the whole way over, every bump of the road causing it to jiggle enticingly against his taut wolf muscles. The atmosphere in the car was thick and tense, at least from Von Lykon's perspective. To Ben, it was just a car ride. They finally arrived at the office, and as they walked through the door, they noticed a black and red-haired figure sitting in front of the desk. Lykon began to walk around the desk, addressing the figure. "Excuse me, sir. I don't think we have a meeting scheduled, so while I would be happy to assist you shortly, I'm afraid I have other business to attend to first." The muscular yet emo-looking Thyran in the chair sighed very emo-ly and responded, "Look, I don't have time to wait. Apparently you're supposed to do this thing that the government calls taxes, and I've never done that in my whole life, so now I need to do them or I'll go to jail." Von Lykon furrowed his brow. "You mean to tell me you have never done taxes before? Well, yes, that is a problem, but why did you come to Victoria Housekeeping? We aren't tax specialists, and in fact we use a firm to do our yearly taxes." The man in the chair, who looked almost exactly like Shadow the Hedgehog, clapped his hands on top of his head, exclaiming, "Oh man, I need to get them done by tonight, and there's no time for me to go find someone else to do them." Ben, who was standing nearby politely watching the strange interaction, spoke up hesitantly.
Excuse me, Mr.
The edgy dog man half turned around. "My name is Komano-Manato, but my friends just call me Shadow."
Right. Well, Mr. Shadow, I'm actually an accountant, and I can probably get your taxes filed by tonight if I really hurry on them.
He then noticed Lykon looking at him, and remembered that he had already promised to help the wolf.
After I help Mr. Lykon, that is.
Monato brightened up, almost like watching a black room become a dark gray room. "That would be amazing." But as he turned to fully address his savior, he felt like something was off about the picture. "Hey, I don't mean to spit in a horse Thyran's mouth or anything, but you really don't look or smell like an accountant." Ben huffed as he defended himself.
I may not look like an accountant, but that's no reason to be rude. I'm the best financial manager Belobog Heavy Industries has ever had. And for your information, I just came straight from the construction site and didn't have time to clean up.
Monato smirked and corrected, "I never said you smelled bad, just not like an accountant. In fact," the dog, or whatever he is, because for some reason Hoyo still hasn't said specifically, got up from his seat and walked over to the bear Thyran, leaned in close, and gave an exaggerated sniff. "Oh yeah, that's definitely the smell of a working man. But you know what? After we finish up with my taxes, I can help get you cleaned up. As long as I can get the Chaos Emeralds back from my friend Obama, anyway. Otherwise, I'll have to go do that." Ben took a few steps back, holding up his hands and accidentally crushing a delicate-looking sculpture of a bonsai that was sitting on the floor of the ornate office.
Hey, easy there. I barely know you, and besides, I have to help Mr. Lykon first.
Monato continued to follow Ben's retreat until a loud thud drew his attention away. Lykon had stood up and slammed his hands on the desk. "That is enough! You're obviously making Master Bigger uncomfortable, and it's time for you to leave." Monato rolled his eyes as if he didn't buy what Lykon was saying at all. "Oh, come on, Wolfie. I know you can smell him just as well as I can. It must be driving you nuts, too. I can practically see you drooling over there." Lykon shook his head and tried to rebuke the accusation, though he knew his words came out with no conviction. "That is simply not true. While I may be able to smell a certain pungent aroma, I am a professional and will not give in to my baser instincts, no matter how much I want to. Manato chuckled like he'd just put on his favorite My Chemical Romance CD. Ah, so you admit that you want to get a little more animalistic with the teddy bear here. Lyon realized he accidentally let slip how he was feeling, closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and exhaled, ready to face the music. Yes, I will admit it. Master Bigger's unique scent is extremely appealing to me, and I have been experiencing difficulties focusing because of it. But that is not important. What matters is that you are going too far and making him uncomfortable, and as such it is time for you to leave. I have given you fair warning. Next time I will not be as polite. Lycon's eyes pierced Manato's core with a frigid savagery hidden beneath his gentlemanly exterior. Hold on a second. The sound of Lycon's legs charging up fills the room.
Spending money always feels so good.
Yo, Spitzel, thank you for the tier 1 sub. 18 months, 2 years two babies worth of subs. Very much appreciated. Your second stream, baby. You're a double dad now. Thank you so much. The sound of Lycon's legs charging fills the room. Manato cracks his neck from side to side, eyes ablaze with the prospect of having a little pre-action... action. Ben stepped in between the two Thyrans and said,
Wait, please, both of you. This isn't necessary. I didn't know you felt that way, Mr. Lyon, but we can talk about it and see where things lead.
The bear then turned to Manato.
And you, Mr. Manato, you are aggressive in a way that frightens me a little, but it's also strangely enticing. I wouldn't mind exploring things with you either, but before we do any of that, I need to help Mr. Lyon, and if there's time left, do your taxes. Now, if you both can accept that, let's all just calm down and move forward productively.
Lycon's legs powered down, and Manato looked away moodily, like a teenager whose mom just made a good point.
Now, Mr. Lyon, what did you need?
Well, actually, Master... Lyon hesitated. Forgive me, but would it be okay if I referred to you as Ben? Ben smiled and said,
Of course. I've been saying that from the beginning.
Lyon continued, And, of course, it's only fair for you to refer to me as Lyon. Ben was about to protest before realizing that it would be hypocritical.
But, well, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Lyon gave a small smile as Manato rolled his eyes. In any case, I also need you to... Lyon mumbled the last part so nobody heard him. Ben leaned in with a paw cupped to his ear.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Von Lycon's snout began to burn bright pink again as he admitted, I need you to do my taxes as well. Our usual firm is being investigated for fraud, and so I need emergency last-minute tax help as well. Ben paused for a second and then laughed at the ridiculous situation. Once his laughter had died down, he said to the other two Thyrans,
No worries, I can help both of you. And then afterwards we can talk about how to proceed with, the other part.
The day stretched onward, eventually becoming night, as Ben put all of his accounting skills together to try and help the two men. As he worked, Manato kept trying to seduce Ben, petting his fur, leaning in close, squeezing his muscles, and by contrast, Von Lyon would fetch drinks and food for the three of them, and would also keep Manato in line as much as he could, possibly out of professional duty or perhaps out of jealousy. Lycon's taxes were easy, straightforward, and organized. Manato's taxes were an insane mess and basically had to be conjured out of thin air. Finally, Ben leaned back in the comfy office chair he was borrowing from Lyon and stretched, cracking his back and yawning.
All right. Well, I think that's about as good as they're gonna get.
Ben looked exhausted but proud.
I think that's some of my finest work yet.
Von Lykon put an appreciative hand on Ben's shoulder, voicing his agreement. You are truly a master of the financial world, Ben. Ben blushed, suddenly feeling quite bashful.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. It was nothing, really.
Manato moodily walked over and sat on Ben's lap and wrapped his arms around the bear's thick, strong neck, Manato's supple yet muscular cheeks pressing into Ben's thighs enticingly. Okay, yeah, great job, but now it's time for the fun to begin. Lykon grabbed Manato's ear and pulled him off of Ben, who was turning a bright shade of red even through his thick fur. I think that is quite enough, Master Manato, and if you have finished your business here, I think you should probably be on your way. Manato intonated repeatedly, Ow, 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 ow! Before slapping Lycon's hand away and rubbing his stretched ear gently. Oh, come on. The boring stuff is over. Why can't we celebrate a little now? As he continued to rub his ear, his tail began to wag and his foot began to pat the ground unconsciously. Because I have tried to extend as much professional courtesy towards you as I can, but the rest of the evening is dedicated to myself and Ben. We do not need a third wheel. Manato looked angry and a little hurt by that, but noticed Ben staring at the two of them and decided that if this nosy wolf wouldn't let him stay, he'd have to give a good enough show to earn him a spot. All right, fine. But before I go, let me just change shirts. It's so hot in here, isn't it? Manato pulled his shirt off, revealing a body chiseled from hours and hours of combat, as well as a light coating of black and red hair. Ah, that's better. Lykon glowered at him, recognizing his game. Where is your other shirt? The one you said you would change into? Manato shrugged with a smirk. I never said I was changing into another shirt, just that I was changing out of this one. Lykon walked over to where Ben was still sitting with his paws over his eyes, but his one good eye peeking through. Lykon grabbed his hand. Come along, Ben. This fool has had enough time in our way. Ben stammered.
Well, actually, I was sort of thinking that,
Manato, feeling Ben's attraction to him, walked up so that his abs were right in Ben's face. You get it, Wolfie? The big man here wants something a little more exciting, so maybe it's time you leave. Ben's eyebrows raised at the assertion, as he tried not to be sucked in by the sweat on Manato's sculpted body.
No, that's not what I'm...
Lykon cut Ben off, not hearing him through his irritation. He coolly responded, You think you are making some sort of big statement with this? Anyone can manage this much, and unlike you, I have taken the proper precautions to shower and apply my usual cologne. Von Lykon quickly yet tidily removed his vest and shirt, folding them with precision and setting them on the desk. All right, hold on. I need another drink.
It's okay, calm down. It's getting heated anyway. Maybe you're heating up too, who knows?
Can see the donation in the corner, didn't see the notification. Yeah, I guess maybe I was just wrong and there won't be a notification in the actual chat, but there should be one on screen.
There was one in chat actually.
Where? There was one in chat?
It said Philospiel donated. It was very, very small though.
Huh.
Just donated.
Oh,
Said it.
okay. Yeah, the overlay was something that they sent me, so it would be nice if I could make that bigger, but I think it would mess up the overlay for everybody. Either way. Ben turned to face him, accidentally bumping his snout into Lycon's abs, which were somehow rock hard, but also had enough give to seem like a fantastic pillow to sleep on. He still had an animalistic musk to his body, but it was hidden underneath a layer of expensive-smelling cologne, a sort of smoky vanilla mixed with something he couldn't quite identify, almost like a sour cherry smell.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. I mean...
Ben tried to articulate his apology, but was too flustered to make any meaningful progress. Oh wow, how daring, to be shirtless in your own office, Manato snarked, rolling his eyes. I'll show you how to really get wild. He tore his pants off, revealing a pair of black boxers with some sort of gemstones on them that hung down just low enough to obscure everything, though Ben thought he might have just seen a hint of... Nah, it couldn't be. Manato looked smugly at his opponent, knowing there was no chance the refined wolf would ever be able to top this, before realizing that he had also destroyed his pants entirely. Ah, crap. I got carried away. Those were actually my only pants. Well, I guess I'll be going home in just my boxers. Again. Lyon, outraged, demanded, That is enough. You must leave now or I will make you leave. Before he could speak, a small voice from in between them said,
Fellas, I think maybe things are a little out of control.
Manato turned towards the door and began to walk out, giving the other two Thyrans a glimpse of his tightly toned butt cheeks, which were barely even jiggling as he stepped. Just as he got to the threshold of the door, he turned, slowly pulling his boxers lower to reveal his slutty hip, and tossed out one final provocation. When you're done with your business lunch, big man, come and find me. I'll find a way to let you know how appreciative I am of your work today. Lyon crossed his arms and closed his eyes, turning his nose up at the whole situation. Finally, he will stop being a nuisance. Now we can discuss our relationship, right, Ben? Upon getting no response, Lyon opened his eyes to see that Ben was enraptured by the poses still being carried out by the hedgehog in the doorway, who had never actually planned on leaving. Lycon's eyes grew wide as he realized that he would have to stoop to this thug's level if he were to gain the attention of his potential romance partner. Lyon sighed, not believing what he was about to do, and stepped in front of the desk. If this is what it takes, Ben... He unbuckled his snazzy suit pants and slipped out of them elegantly, folding them and putting them with the rest of his clothes.
Lyon, you don't have to...
Lyon put a hand up to forestall any more talk. It is quite all right, Ben. I want you to see me in my entirety. After all, there is no getting around this. Lyon gestured toward his legs, ashamed that in place of what should have been soft, supple, warm flesh was hard, cold, uncaring steel. Ben furrowed his brow as he saw Lycon's vulnerability, feeling doleful that such a beautiful person didn't seem to see it in himself.
Oh, hey, that's never been a concern of mine. Working in construction, you wouldn't believe the amount of people I know who are missing fingers, limbs, or teeth. And who am I to point fingers when I'm missing an eye myself?
Lyon looked up, startled by the kindness he heard in the bear's voice, before lowering his head with a small smile.
Besides, if I'm being honest, I haven't really been able to focus on any specific parts of you guys while you've been undressing. There's just too much to look at.
Ben sheepishly tried to avoid staring at the noticeable outline in Lycon's tight-fitting gray briefs, confirming that he was indeed a full-blooded wolf Thyran. Lyon turned towards Manato, beckoning him back into the room with a shifty look in his eye. Ben couldn't help but stare at his fluffy, wobbly buns packed tightly into his underwear. Master Manato, I think I have an idea that will work for the both of us. Manato dripped with emo loathing, practically a full Hot Topic exuding from his aura, but walked over to Lyon anyway. Lyon leaned in, whispering something into Manato's ear. Manato's eyebrow raised curiously for a second before he broke out into a mischievous smile. I like the way you think, Wolfie. Let's do it. The two approached Ben, who stood up uneasily, unsure of what was about to happen. Lyon knelt down in front of Ben and started unbuckling his pants, claiming, Why, Ben, it seems you have a stain of some sort on the front of your pants. Allow me to take care of that. Meanwhile, Manato had circled around to the back and was wrapping his arms around Ben to undo the buttons on his shirt. Yeah, and your shirt is dirty, too. Take it off so we can fix it. Ben looked off into the distance, almost like he was staring into an invisible camera, winked, and said,
Time for some hard labor?
"The end."